The restriction. Captain Ilara Chen stood at the observation deck of Artemis Station, Earth's largest orbital facility, watching as the Confederation diplomatic vessel departed. The sleek alien craft, with its impossible curves and shimmering hull, seemed to mock the comparatively primitive human ships docked nearby. She clenched her fists as the ship disappeared into a flash of light, engaging its jump drive. Technology humans were still years from understanding, even with Confederation guidance. "They're gone," said Admiral Hassan, coming to stand beside her, along with their insulting proposal. "Is it truly a proposal when it's non-negotiable?" Ilara replied, not bothering to hide the bitterness in her voice. 5 years in the Confederation, and they still treat us like children who can't be trusted with sharp objects. It had been 5 years since Earth had been formally invited to join the Interstellar Confederation, a collective of 27 spacefaring species that govern most of the explored galaxy. The admission had come with countless benefits: medical advances that had extended human lifespans by decades, energy technology that had eliminated scarcity on Earth, and access to dozens of habitable worlds for colonization. But it had also come with restrictions. Humanity, classified as a Class 3 emerging species, was prohibited from developing military technology beyond a certain threshold. In practical terms, this meant humans could build armed vessels for system defense, but were banned from creating true warships capable of interstellar combat. The Solari delegate was quite clear, Hassan said, his weathered face grim. "The prohibition on human military vessels remains in place for at least another century." They cited our historical aggression patterns again. Ilara turned away from the viewport, disgust evident in her features. While the Raxan hegemony pirates our outer colonies with impunity, and the Confederation response ships arrived just in time to count the bodies. The Admiral didn't disagree. 3 human colonies had been raided in the past year alone. The attacks followed the same pattern: swift strikes by ships bearing Raxan markings, targeting isolated outposts far from Earth. By the time Confederation peacekeeping vessels responded to distress calls, the attackers were long gone, leaving behind damaged infrastructure and, increasingly, human casualties. The Confederation insists the raids are the work of rogue elements, not sanctioned by the hegemony, Hassan said, repeating the official line without conviction. "And you believe that?" Ilara asked sharply. Hassan's silence was answer enough. An alert chimed on Ilara's comm unit. She checked the message and frowned. "The Europa colony is reporting unusual sensor readings at the edge of their system. Probably nothing, but I should check it. Keep me informed," Hassan said, his eyes returning to the stars outside the viewport. 12 hours later, Ilara's shuttle approached Europa colony, the oldest and largest human settlement outside the Sol system. The emergency channel was chaos. Fragmented reports of multiple ships entering the system, weapons fire, and calls for evacuation. "This is Captain Chen of Earth Defense requesting status update," she transmitted, pushing her shuttle's engines beyond safe parameters. The response came through static. "Captain, this is Governor Wells. We're under attack. 3 vessels. Configuration unknown. They've disabled our defensive grid and our landing troops. We need immediate assistance. Hold tight, Governor." "Help is coming," Ilara responded automatically, though she knew it was a lie. The nearest Confederation peacekeeping vessel was at least 14 hours away. By the time her shuttle reached Europa's orbit, the attackers were gone. The colony's main habitat dome was breached, emergency force fields barely containing the atmosphere. Dozens were dead, hundreds injured, and the colony's quantum communications array, their primary link to Earth and the Confederation, had been destroyed. As she coordinated emergency response efforts, Ilara's comm unit chimed with a priority message from Admiral Hassan. "Return to Earth immediately. Security Council emergency session. We're done waiting for permission." 3 days later, in a secure conference room, deep beneath Geneva, Ilara sat at a table with 11 others, the highest-ranking officers of Earth's defense forces and key members of the Security Council. The Europa attack was the last straw, said Director Kwame Okafor of Earth Intelligence. We've confirmed the attacking vessels were Raxan military-grade ships, despite Confederation denials. More concerning, we've detected increased Raxan fleet movements near 3 other human colonies. Admiral Hassan stood, activating a holographic display in the center of the table. The Confederation has made it clear they will not alter their policy on human military development, regardless of the threat. They've promised increased patrols, but their response times make this effectively meaningless. So what do you propose? Asked the Brazilian representative. Violating our Confederation agreement would risk severe sanctions, possibly even expulsion. Not if we're careful, Hassan replied. Director Okafor has identified a potential solution. Okafor tapped his tablet, and a hologram shifted to display technical schematics of a ship unlike any in Earth's current fleet. The Confederation prohibits human development of military vessels, but their definition has specifics we can work with. They define warships primarily by weapon systems, FTL capabilities, and certain hull configurations. You're suggesting we exploit loopholes? The Chinese representative asked, leaning forward with interest. Precisely, Okafor confirmed. We propose developing vessels classified as deep space rescue and emergency response ships. Under Confederation regulations, such vessels are permitted enhanced structural integrity, defensive countermeasures for hazardous environments, and specialized propulsion systems for rapid response. Ilara studied the schematics, immediately recognizing what Okafor wasn't saying. These countermeasures could easily serve as weapon systems. The specialized propulsion could match military-grade engines, and the emergency response mission profile would justify rapid deployment capabilities, Hassan added. These ships wouldn't match Confederation military vessels, but they would give our colonies a fighting chance while we wait for reinforcements. Where would we build such ships? The Russian representative asked. Confederation inspectors regularly visit all our shipyards. Hassan's expression was grim. Not all of them. Project Daedalus. A murmur went around the table. Project Daedalus had been a secret shipyard established in the Kuiper Belt before Earth joined the Confederation, its existence never disclosed during the membership process. Officially abandoned years ago, it had been maintained in standby status for precisely this kind of contingency. This is a dangerous game, the Japanese representative warned. If discovered, the consequences would be severe. And if we do nothing? Ilara challenged, rising to her feet. I saw what happened at Europa. I counted the body bags. How many more colonies need to be attacked before we decide our people's lives matter more than Confederation regulations? Silence fell over the room as her words sank in. How quickly could production begin? The American representative finally asked. Immediately, Hassan replied. Captain Chen would oversee the project. All eyes turned to Ilara. She straightened her shoulders, already calculating what would be needed, who could be trusted. The Confederation has made it clear they don't trust humans with warships, he said. I propose we show them exactly why. 6 months later, Ilara stood in the central construction bay of the reactivated Daedalus facility, watching as robotic arms assembled the frame of what would become the first of its kind. A human vessel capable of defending itself and others against Raxan aggression. We're calling her Defiance, said Chief Engineer Maya Patel, who stood beside her. Seemed appropriate. How long until she's operational? Ilara asked. 4 months for basic functions, 6 for full capability, Maya replied. We're incorporating everything we can while maintaining the appearance of a civilian vessel. The tricky part is the propulsion system. We need something powerful enough for rapid response, but that won't immediately flag Confederation sensors. And the weapons? Maya grinned. Officially, they're debris clearing systems and environmental hazard neutralization arrays. Unofficially, they'll punch through Raxan shields better than anything we've built before. Ilara nodded, feeling a weight lifting from her shoulders for the first time since the Europa attack. Keep me updated on any challenges. This project remains completely classified. Only those on the approved list know it exists." "Understood, Captain," Maya replied. "Though there's something else you should know. We've detected increased Confederation patrol activity in the outer system. Nothing near Daedalus yet, but they're being more thorough than usual. They suspect something. Impossible to say, but we should accelerate our timetable where possible." As Ilara returned to her quarters aboard the facility, she recorded a personal log, something she'd done since her earliest days in the service. "Sometimes I wonder if the Confederation is right about us. Throughout human history, we've built weapons that have caused tremendous suffering. But we've also learned that in a dangerous universe, the inability to defend yourself invites aggression. The Confederation wants us to trust them with our security while denying us the means to secure ourselves. That's not partnership, it's subjugation. The Defiance isn't just a ship, it's a statement. Humanity will determine its own destiny, even if we have to do it in secret." 3 months later, the relative peace of the project was shattered. Ilara was woken from sleep by a priority alert. "Confederation inspection vessel approaching outer system. Projected course suggests Kuiper Belt survey." Within minutes, she was in the facility's command center. "Could be routine," suggested Operations Chief Takeda. "They conduct random surveys of the outer system." "Or they know something," countered Maya. "The Defiance is at 70% completion. If they find her, how quickly can we move her?" Ilara asked. Maya shook her head. "She's not ready. Main systems are installed but untested. We could power her up, maybe achieve limited movement, but interplanetary travel would be risky. And if we're discovered, everything ends." Ilara decided. "Begin evacuation protocols. Essential personnel only remain. Chief Takeda, activate the contingency plan. Make this facility look like an abandoned mining operation again." As the team scrambled to hide evidence of their true purpose, Ilara faced the most difficult decision of her career. The Defiance represented humanity's best hope for defending its colonies, but if discovered now, the project would be shut down and those involved severely punished. "Captain," Maya called, interrupting her thoughts. "We're receiving a distress signal from Ganymede colony. They're under attack. Raxan ships again." The timing couldn't be worse. With a Confederation vessel approaching and the Defiance incomplete, they were in no position to respond. "How far is the nearest Confederation peacekeeping ship?" Ilara asked, already knowing the answer. "At least 10 hours out," confirmed Takeda. Maya stepped closer, lowering her voice. "The Defiance can move, Captain. We haven't tested the weapons in real conditions, but they're installed and theoretically operational. The main drive can achieve up to 60% efficiency." "You just said interplanetary travel would be risky," Ilara reminded her. "It is." Maya didn't deny it. "But those are our people on Ganymede." Ilara looked around the command center, at the faces of her team watching her, waiting for her decision. The Defiance was humanity's secret hope, not yet ready to be revealed. But what was the point of building her if they stood by while another colony was attacked? "Prepare the Defiance for emergency launch," she ordered. "Skeleton crew only. I'll take command. Chief Takeda, continue evacuation and concealment protocols here. If the Confederation vessel approaches, you know nothing about any ship." As Maya hurried to prepare the vessel, Takeda pulled Ilara aside. "Captain, this is premature. If something goes wrong, then I'll take full responsibility." Ilara cut him off. "But I won't sit here and do nothing while our people die. That's why we built her in the first place." 2 hours later, the Defiance broke free from its construction cradle, thrusters pushing it clear of the Daedalus facility. On the hastily assembled bridge, Ilara took the command chair, surrounded by a crew of just 12, the minimum needed to operate the vessel. "Main drive online," reported Lieutenant Russo from the helm. "All systems functioning within acceptable parameters." "Set course for Ganymede," Ilara ordered. "Maximum safe speed." As the Defiance accelerated towards Jupiter's moon, Ilara couldn't help but feel a surge of pride mixed with apprehension. The ship, humanity's first true warship in the Confederation era, was about to face its trial by fire long before anyone had planned. The Defiance. The Defiance emerged from its faster-than-permitted transit near Jupiter, the massive gas giant providing temporary sensor coverage as they approached Ganymede. The ship's experimental drive had performed better than expected, getting them to Jupiter space in record time, a fact that would have immediately identified them as violating Confederation restrictions if they had been detected. Status of Ganymede colony. Ilara demanded, standing behind Lieutenant Park at the sensor station. 2 vessels matching Raxon's signatures in orbit, Park reported. Colony defensive grid is offline. Communications are sporadic. They've taken damage to their main habitat dome. Life signs. Still registering approximately 5,000 colonists. The attackers appear to be focused on the research facilities rather than the residential sections. Ilara nodded grimly. The Ganymede colony was known for its quantum computing research, technology the Raxon hegemony had been trying to acquire for years. "What about our systems?" she asked, turning to Maya at the engineering station. "Main drive needs cooling after the sprint here, but defensive systems are online," the engineer reported. "Weapons are charged but untested. I recommend a targeting calibration before engagement." "We don't have time," Ilara decided. "Lieutenant Russo, take us in. Tactical approach, minimize our profile until we're within strike range." The Defiance glided forward, its hull configuration, officially designed for emergency response in hazardous conditions, making it significantly more maneuverable than any authorized human vessel. As they approached Ganymede, the details of the attack became clearer. 1 Raxon ship maintained position over the colony's main research facility, while the other patrolled the perimeter. "They haven't detected us yet," Park reported. "Their sensors are focused planet-side." "Target the patrolling vessel," Ilara ordered. "Lieutenant Quan, prepare to fire on my mark." At the weapons station, Quan's hands moved across the controls, bringing the ship's environmental hazard neutralization arrays, actually particle beam weapons, online for the first time outside of simulations. "Target locked," he reported. Ilara took a deep breath. This was the moment humanity broke its agreement with the Confederation, not in theory or in secret, but in open action. Once they fired, there would be no going back. Fire. The Defiance shuddered slightly as energy surged through systems that had never been fully tested. The particle beam lanced out, striking the Raxon vessel precisely at its engine junction, exactly where Maya's team had determined Raxon shields would be weakest. The effect was immediate and devastating. The Raxon ship's shields flared and collapsed, and its engines went dark. It began to drift, emergency systems visibly activating across its hull. "Direct hit," Quan exclaimed. "Target's propulsion and weapons systems are offline. They've seen us now," Park warned. "The second vessel is disengaging from the colony and moving to intercept." The bridge crew tensed as the remaining Raxon ship accelerated toward them, its weapon ports opening. Unlike its companion, this vessel was fully prepared for combat. "Evasive maneuvers," Ilara ordered. "Bring us around for another attack run." The Defiance responded smoothly, banking harder than should have been possible for a ship its size. The Raxon vessel fired, energy weapons scorching the space where the Defiance had been moments before. "Their weapons are stronger than our intelligence suggested," Maya reported, studying the energy readings. "A direct hit could overload our shields." "Then we don't get hit," Ilara replied. "Lieutenant Quan, target their forward weapons array. Lieutenant Russo, attack pattern Delta." The Defiance dove beneath the Raxon ship's firing arc, then pulled up sharply, bringing its weapons to bear on the vulnerable underbelly of the enemy vessel. This time, the particle beam struck true, and the Raxon ship's forward weapons array exploded in a shower of debris. "We've damaged their primary weapons," Quan reported. They're retreating. On the view screen, the Raxan vessel was indeed pulling away, turning back toward open space. For a moment, Ilara considered pursuing it, but quickly dismissed the thought. The Defiance had won its first engagement, but the ship was untested, and their primary mission was to protect the colony. "Let them go," she ordered. "Take us into orbit around Ganymede. Prepare emergency response teams. We need to assist the colony." As the Defiance established orbit, they received a transmission from the colony's governor. "Unidentified vessel, this is Governor Chen of Ganymede Colony. Your intervention is appreciated, but may I ask who you are? You don't match any Earth defense profile I'm familiar with." Ilara hesitated before responding. The existence of the Defiance was still classified at the highest levels, but they could hardly deny their presence now. "Governor, this is Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth Emergency Response Vessel Defiance. We received your distress call and responded." There was a pause before the governor replied. "Earth doesn't have vessels with your capabilities, Captain. Not according to Confederation regulations. We're a new class," Ilara answered carefully. "I'm afraid I can't discuss specifics on an open channel. We're sending teams to assist with colony repairs and medical needs." Over the next 12 hours, the Defiance's crew worked alongside colonists to repair the damage caused by the Raxan attack. 17 colonists had been killed and dozens more injured, but without the Defiance's intervention, the toll would have been much higher. As Ilara supervised the repair efforts from the colony's operations center, she received an urgent communication from Lieutenant Park aboard the Defiance. "Captain, we're detecting a Confederation vessel entering the Jupiter system. They're broadcasting demands for all non-authorized ships to stand down for inspection." The moment Ilara had been dreading had arrived. The Confederation had discovered them, likely alerted by the retreating Raxan ship. "Understood," she replied. "I'm returning to the ship. Inform the crew to prepare for potential confrontation." Governor Chen overheard the exchange. "Captain, what's really going on here? That ship of yours, it's not just an emergency response vessel, is it?" Ilara met the governor's gaze steadily. "It's exactly what humanity needs right now, and that's all I can tell you." Back aboard the Defiance, Ilara took command as the Confederation vessel approached. A sleek, powerful ship that dwarfed their own. Its design was distinctly Xalari, one of the founding species of the Confederation, and known for their strict adherence to regulations. "They're hailing us," Park reported. "Put them through," Ilara ordered, straightening in her chair. The view screen activated, showing a Xalari official, tall and slender with iridescent skin that shifted colors with emotion. Currently, it pulsed with hues of orange and red, anger and indignation in Xalari emotional display. "Unidentified human vessel, this is Overseer Tall of the Confederation Peacekeeping Force. You are operating an unauthorized military vessel in violation of Confederation regulations. Power down your systems and prepare to be boarded." Ilara rose from her chair, facing the Xalari directly. "Overseer Tall, I am Captain Ilara Chen of the Earth Response Vessel Defiance. We responded to a distress call from Ganymede Colony, which was under attack by Raxan forces, an attack your peacekeepers were hours away from addressing." The Xalari's skin rippled with blue tones. Surprise. The Raxan hegemony is a respected member of the Confederation. Any aggressive action would be the work of rogue elements, not sanctioned forces. "Tell that to the 17 dead colonists," Ilara replied sharply. "This is the 4th attack on human colonies in the past year. Your peacekeepers consistently arrive too late to do anything but count casualties. The Defiance was built because the Confederation has failed to protect us. Your vessel exceeds the technological restrictions placed on human ships," Tall insisted. "Its very existence violates your species' membership agreement, an agreement that promised protection in exchange for our compliance," Ilara countered. "Where was that protection when our colonies were attacked? Where was it when my brother died on Europa 6 months ago? The Confederation restricted our ability to defend ourselves, then failed to provide the defense it promised. The Solari's skin shifted to deeper blues and purples, confusion, perhaps even consideration. That does not change the fact that your vessel violates Confederation law. I am ordered to detain it and all personnel involved. Maya stepped forward, joining Ilara. Before you attempt that, Overseer, you should know that the Defiance's specifications have been transmitted to Earth with instructions to release them publicly if we don't return. Humanity now knows it's possible to build ships capable of defending our colonies. You can detain us, but you can't put that knowledge back in the box. It was a bluff. They had sent no such transmission. But the Solari wouldn't know that. Tal's skin rippled through several colors before settling on a muted green. This situation requires consultation with the Confederation Council. You will remain here until further notice. The transmission ended, and the bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Will they attack? Risso asked quietly. Unlikely, Ilara replied. The Solari prefer diplomatic solutions. They'll consult with their superiors while keeping us under observation. And then, Maya pressed. Then we see if the Confederation values its relationship with humanity enough to negotiate rather than dictate. 3 days later, Ilara stood in the Grand Hall of the Confederation Embassy on Luna, Earth's moon. Behind her were Admiral Hassan and representatives from Earth's Security Council. Before them was a delegation from the Confederation, representatives from 5 species, including the Solari and, surprisingly, the Raxan. The situation is unprecedented, began the Arcturian delegate, a being of living crystal who served as the current head of the Confederation Council. Earth has deliberately violated one of the core conditions of its membership. Because those conditions left us vulnerable, Hassan replied firmly. The Defiance's existence is a direct result of the Confederation's failure to protect human colonies. The Raxan delegate, a reptilian humanoid with gleaming scales, hissed in disagreement. The hegemony denies any involvement in attacks on human settlements. These were the actions of criminal elements, not sanctioned forces. We have sensor logs from both Europa and Ganymede, Ilara interjected. The attacking vessels used military-grade Raxan technology not available to criminal elements. Either the hegemony was directly involved, or it has lost control of significant military assets. Neither explanation reflects well on your government. The Raxan's neck frill extended in anger, but the Arcturian raised a crystalline hand for silence. Regardless of blame, we face a reality. Humanity has demonstrated both the capability and willingness to circumvent Confederation restrictions. The Defiance may be the only such vessel now, but we must assume others could follow. They already are, Hassan confirmed, seeing no point in denials. The Defiance is the prototype for a new class of vessels being developed at multiple locations throughout Earth space. This was another bluff. Production had not yet expanded beyond Daedalus, but the Confederation delegates' reactions suggested they believed it. Then what do you propose? Asked the Solari representative. The restrictions exist for valid reasons. Younger species often lack the restraint necessary for wielding advanced military technology. Ilara stepped forward. We propose a revision to Earth's membership terms. Humanity will accept limitations on military development, but not prohibition. We require the right to build vessels capable of defending our colonies effectively. In return, these ships will operate according to Confederation protocols and coordinate with peacekeeping forces. Unacceptable, the Raxan delegate snapped. The precedent would undermine the entire classification system. What's your alternative? Hassan challenged. Expel Earth from the Confederation. Launch a military action against us. Neither serves your interests, and both would cost you access to resources and technology Earth provides to the Confederation. The room fell silent as the implications settled. Earth was not a dominant power in the Confederation, but it was a valuable member. Human innovation had already contributed significantly to shared technologies, and Earth-controlled systems contained resources several Confederation species relied upon. The Arcturian delegate conferred quietly with the others before speaking again. Perhaps a compromise is possible. a provisional reclassification of Earth to Class II status, with limited rights to defensive vessel development under Confederation oversight. A joint commission would establish appropriate restrictions based on practical defense needs rather than arbitrary technological thresholds. And the Defiance, Ilara asked, would be registered as a prototype for the new classification, subject to inspection and compliance verification. Hassan and Ilara exchanged glances. It wasn't everything they had hoped for, but it was a significant concession, one that would allow humanity to protect its own while maintaining beneficial relations with the Confederation. We can agree to those terms, Hassan confirmed, provided the Joint Commission includes equal human representation and acts with appropriate urgency. Our colonies cannot wait years for bureaucratic processes to conclude. Agreed, the Arcturian delegate responded. The Commission will deliver initial guidelines within 30 days. As the delegates moved to formalize the agreement, the Xalari representative approached Ilara privately. The Defiance impressed many within the Confederation, he admitted, his skin shifting to thoughtful purples and blues. Few expected humans to develop such capabilities so quickly, or to use them with such restraint. Restraint? Ilara questioned. The vessel disabled the Raxan ships without destroying them. You protected your colony without escalating to maximum force. It suggests a maturity some doubted humans possessed. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. Perhaps the Confederation should reconsider some of its assumptions about younger species. 6 months later, Ilara stood on the bridge of the Defiance as it patrolled the outer reaches of the Ta-Ceti system, where Earth's newest colony was being established. The ship was now fully operational, officially recognized, and no longer alone. 2 more vessels of its class had been completed, with others under construction. Most importantly, no further attacks on human colonies had occurred since the Ganymede incident. Whether due to the Defiance's demonstration or the Confederation's increased attention to Raxan activities, the result was the same. Humanity was safer. Captain, Lieutenant Park called from her station. We're receiving a transmission from a Confederation vessel requesting joint exercise protocols. On the view screen, a Xalari peacekeeping ship approached, its running lights configured in the pattern of peaceful intent. Acknowledge their request, Ilara ordered. Inform them the Defiance is ready to proceed with the exercise. As the 2 ships began their coordinated maneuvers, Ilara reflected on how much had changed. The Defiance had been built in defiance of regulations that left humanity vulnerable. Now it operated openly alongside the very forces those regulations had intended to keep as humanity's sole protectors. They said humans couldn't build warships, Maya commented, joining Ilara at the viewport. We proved them wrong. We did more than that, Ilara replied. We proved we could be trusted with them. And in the end, that had made all the difference.